So, hello everyone, let's review, of course, Attack on Titan episode 10, season 4, final season, right? So first of all then, yeah, Mikasa is a princess, because that makes sense. And I do find this scene just, well, okay, because that of course she's the HIME, he's the HIME, they are HIMEs, right? But anyway, let's first talk about the historical aspect of this thing. Let me explain it quickly before we go into the actual narration, right? So, she has this like tree sword thing, right? Reminds something, the triforce, right? So in Japan's history then you have of course different clans, different shoguns, different daimons and so on, right? And Mikasa specifically is supposed to be like related to the legendary mythical shogun more than the kind of traditional shogun. And difference here is that there be different, you know, families having control over Japan, right? And the triforce of course ZELDA. We all play ZELDA game. Yeah, my switches there, right? ZELDA. We all ZELDA right there. In the ZELDA they have a triforce, right? You know, the triangles, and that's actually the exact same symbol, the emblem, the flag, whatever, of the Hojo Tokimune. So that is a clan, or this is the person here shogun, but the clan then that like defeated the Mongols, and that's also where the divine wind comes from, because they fought the Mongols, like for example in Ghost of Tsushima, right? And you have the Korea Strait there, and then the wind that arrived as the kamikaze, and the, you know, same situation, right? So he has a Triforce clan actually. So there's an image here from, I think it was Scene 6 here, where you see his, you know, he has the emblem right there, the Triforce. Yeah. So the Triforce of ZELDA, as it comes from that clan then, and the Mikasa sword symbol thing, right? It is basically, you know, historical aspect referencing to the kind of the first shogun that kind of defeated the Mongols, right? And so she's not only basically the princess from like Japan, but she's related to kind of the first shogun, but like kind of the first mythical shogun, and not like the Tokugawa shogun or like, well, Oda Nobunaga didn't become a shogun, but she's more like the 11th, 12th century shogun family more than the more later shogun family, right? So it's like a point. It's like an extra point there. But basically the swords, clearly there are three swords, the Triforce, right? It's kind of the thing. So that's kind of where that's come from. Similar to, for example, the Habsburg, right? So Tibur, in the Marley Tibur thing, he's clearly supposed to be the Habsburg family. It's a Holy Roman Empire reference. He kind of has a shadow empire, as I mentioned earlier reviews, because the shadow empire is a reference to the whole idea that the Habsburg family, the Holy Roman Empire family, was controlling Italy and like Netherlands, right, from like the throne of the Austrian court, which is kind of controlling the German state, which of course the Mongols are the Germans, right? But Tibur is more like the Austria, right, which actually did control the German elective states before they turned into Germany. So that's kind of where Habsburg Tibur kind of goes in, right? And she then is, of course, is like an old school shogun family of Japan, right? That's kind of historical aspect of the Hojo Tokimune reference with Mikasa here. Mikasa then is the princess, of course. She's a Hime-chan based. She's related to the legendary shogun that saved them from the Mongols, right? Basically, right? Of course, in Attack on Titan, maybe they aren't called Mongols, right? Maybe they're not Mongolians. Maybe they're, I don't know. There's some other country, right? Or not a name, right? Because basically, the Attack on Titan world, right, is like upside down Earth, literally. The map is upside down Earth, more or less. They haven't shown the full map, but basically how it is. And yeah, like the names are changed, right? It's not called Japan, it's not Nippon, something else, right? It's like Van, right? Something else. And so I guess the Mongols would be called something else, right? But that's basically it, right? More or less. But her family then, you know, legendary samurai family, right? Daimyo, shogun, and so on, and she's the princess. So, but I just find it like, why is this necessary for? I just find it like, oh my god, I really dislike it, but I just find it silly because the Japanese, I'm just calling Japanese, the Japanese people, they're here, right, to ally with the Paradise. They're here to ally with them, right, and be like, oh, let's, you know, unite to fight the Marleys and the other empires and so on, right? We're gonna ally up and give you technology, and we're gonna help you industrialize and so on, right? So she's there anyway, right, to ally up with them. They have already decided anyway, so it doesn't really relate to Mikasa being this lost princess, but yeah, but then suddenly Mikasa's like, actually, by the way, I am this, you know, specific family trait, and we can't become Titans because we are not eldains, we're something else right here in Paradise. So yeah, I'm actually like Japanese too, and look at my like super magical. Look at my triforce, look at my triforce. Oh, I'm actually part of the legendary super clan. Yeah, okay. It's just like, I just find it so silly because they're introducing them. Okay, here's Japan basically, right? And she's like, yeah, oh, I'm also part of this Japanese, family lineage, and I happen to be the daughter of like my mom is actually like my grandma or something, whatever, right? Was like the shogun's daughter. So I'm actually like this lost. Thing is that, as she explained here, is that the shogun bloodline or whatever, right, for whatever reason, is like gone in the home country. So Mikasa is like literally the princess or slash the queen then of Japan, right, more or less. Right? She's a rightful hire, the rightful owner of Japan, basically. Like, okay, but because reasons, right? And the thing is that it has like no bearing on the storyline, because I said again, I said in the reaction part, she's here to ally with them anyway. She entered this country to be, hey, let's be allies, right? And then Mikasa's like, well, actually, I just want to explain to you guys that I'm the princess. Oh, you're the princess? Oh, let's ally anyway. Because they're going to this country to become allies with them anyway. So her being the princess is completely a moot point. It doesn't actually relate to, like the partnership, what's going to happen anyway. So it's just like a really weird scene where she's like, actually, yeah, I'm also a HIME-chan. Yes, you know. And then the storyline just, they start crying and so on, right? And then it doesn't matter. Like, it actually doesn't matter. Like, it literally has zero impact on the storyline, now I know at least, that she's a princess. It's a scene, right, where, like she starts crying and, oh my god, you're the prince, you're the long lost daughter of the him, yeah, oh my god, yeah, like, but it actually doesn't really relate to their partnership, their alliance, the resources, or the general given storyline. It's just that she's just like, oh my god, you're the lost princess, this is amazing, right? And then the story just progresses without it actually matters. It's just like, she's the princess, and then, okay, whatever. Like, so I think this is like a really, I really find it as like a really weird scene. I find it like a really weird scene. It feels forced narrative-wise, in my opinion, definitely. It's kind of comes off as this like really weird thing where Historia has already been, of course, revealed to be a princess, and she's coming to her princess sooner, and she's a royal daughter and everything, right? And the Zeke and Aaron and Grisha and all this stuff, right? Royal stuff and so on. Very anime, very manga, right? There have to be some princess and kings and so on. But then Mikasa, the main girl, has to also be a princess because, I don't know, she has to be a princess. It doesn't even matter at all. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all. But she's the princess. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, it's just like, it's a weird thing to me. It feels really weird. And, I mean, you could have removed this whole thing, right, with her being a princess, and it would have been the same episode, and the result of them allying up here, right, with Japan then, basically, right, it would be the exact same, partnership anyway. The only thing now is that you have this weird scene where she's like confirming that she's actually a royal bloodline, and them all crying, and then it just moves on. Like, it really doesn't matter at all. Like, it really could have been completely omitted, and it would be the exact same episode, except just, of course, the crying scene and so on. But I mean, it's just like a really weird thing. I feel it's really weird. Like, it's really weird, really unnecessary, I feel. And it doesn't really affect that. I mean, it's just kind of cute later on then, of course. His story's like, oh, you're also a princess? That's awesome. We're both like HIME-chans? Let's be best friends. She's like, we are already friends. I guess. But aren't we already friends? I guess so, but now we're like princess friends or something. I mean, it's just kind of like cute, and it's like jokingly, but it also feels, in my opinion, really forced. Yeah, it's like, okay, and then I don't think it ever is gonna matter either. Not that I know, at least. Maybe it's gonna matter. Okay, I said this here. In the author's defense, maybe this thing will matter when the last chapter is done, the last part of the whole storyline. Maybe, I don't know, Mikasa will survive, or who knows, right? And then she's now the queen of Japan or something, she becomes the new shogun. Like, maybe that's gonna happen. maybe it will have, oh my god, maybe it will have that thing happening, right? In the end of the whole storyline. Maybe Mikasa marries Eren, and then she's like she's the queen of Japan, or shogun, or empress of Japan or something. Whatever. It doesn't make any sense, but I guess like something. An epilogue where they have a kid. Mikasa and Eren or something has a kid, and then that son or daughter rules Japan or something. I don't know. I mean, show a theory that could be a thing or something. I don't know. It's just so unnecessary, I feel. But anyway, Historia seducing the farmer boy, the peasant, right? The princess queen, whatever her role is, kind of her royal highness, getting in there and seducing the boy in the hay, right? I think very classic, like European royal scene, right? With Historia entering the the horse, I guess, stables, or maybe cows, but probably horses, right? And then she, seduces the young farmer boy she wants, right, to get to get pregnant. That's kind of how it's presented, right? Which it's really cute there, right? But this is a thing there that never really been really explored, and it's kind of like said that, oh yeah, she seduced a farmer boy, whatever, ruin the royal bloodline. But I always kind of like the theory here that it's Eren the father, right? Like, I always like the theory because there has been a lot of Eren and Historia romantic build-up in the early seasons, right? And she clearly, I would argue, definitely argue at least from her standpoint, she seems to be in love with Eren, or at least to some extent likes him, right? And I say it again here, I'm not against the whole, Historia Ymir, I don't, I like yaoi and Yuri stuff, so I don't care about that, right? But I would argue that, as I said in my review of the whole cultural thing a few years ago, that while Historia like she's best friends with Ymir, and Ymir is probably in love with her, I never really, especially if you ignore the film episode, I never really see that Historia is actually in love, right, with Ymir. If anything, I would argue she's more in love with Eren, right, in the episodes. She's more interested in Eren than Ymir, I think, from like a romantic standpoint, where Historia is her best friend, when perhaps Historia is in love with her, though, from like a romantic, Yuri aspect. But I don't really felt that Historia necessarily was actually in love with her, right? I think she's more interested in Eren. We see the episode here as well, right? And Eren, of course, has a lot of flirt scenes. And it's a classic scene where she flirts with Eren, and Mikasa gets jealous, right? He kind of interrupts them and gets angry at Historia for trying to, flirt with her man and so on, right? So there has always been some dynamic there, right, between these characters. And this episode here, then, of course, we see that Historia is pregnant, but the whole farmer thing, I'm just throwing it in there because it feels it's almost so cliche that, how did she get pregnant? She's like, oh, she slept with the farmer boy, she claims. But it's almost so goddamn, tropic cliche that the princess will seduce the farmer boy, that it feels like something she was made up, right? She was like, oh, who's the father? Is it Eren? No, it's not Eren. It's like the farmer guy. He's like that guy over there, he's like the stable boy, or he's the guy with the horses. That's the guy I did it with, not Eren. Like, it feels a lot of that, right? And the theory generally is that it's either like Eren, Zeke, or you, because of the bloodline thing, or just a random nobody like this guy then. But I like the whole idea there that it's probably Eren or not this guy, the farmer boy, because it's just like, yeah, it feels like something that would be the easiest lie, right, for her to say there to the the military and so on. Oh, I slept with that guy. Whatever. I don't know his name. I just see it in the hay. Right? Yeah, like, oh, it feels very much like, oh, like the first lie you come up with as a princess, right? Oh, that thing. So it seems to me, at least, that I don't really trust this scenario that much. It could be true though, but it's a very clear thing that Eren's initiation of his plans with Zeke and so on, it comes from, of course, that Historia has to give birth and then be, eaten by her kid, right, or kids, right? That whole royal bloodline progression of the powers and all that stuff, right? It's what he wants to stop, right, kinda. And of course he would, he likes her as a friend, right, no matter what, right? But I personally, even though I can't really say that it's really proven or disproven, whatever, that who is the father, I just like the idea that it would be Eren, and that would drive him to go like, oh, I need to save Historia and my kid, right, no matter what, right? So I don't know, but I think that's it's a little more, how to say it, motivational, even though they're friends, right? But if it's actually his kid, it's even more, how to say it, yeah, like why he goes like, oh, I'm gonna do this shit, right? Like more so, I would say, more reasonable. Eren is like very, very into saving the Historia and her kid. If his own kid, right, it would be a stronger, thing, right? So I think that's a big thing for it, at least. Otherwise, I mean, but I would say the thing it's never really been confirmed either way, right? So I'm just like, I'm waiting for some kind of ending. I think it's gonna be explained. This is like I'm trying quick here. without spoiling anything. I just think that's, I don't know, maybe it's never gonna be explained, but my guess would be that the father reveal kind of thing will be the last episode, if it's ever gonna be revealed. I don't know. I feel like it's probably never gonna be explained. I feel it's gonna be one of the things which Yama is like, I leave it up to the reader, to the viewer, to kind of determine who could be the father. You can guess, right? You can guess. You can make your own guess. I feel that's probably gonna be how it's gonna do it, but or it's gonna reveal it in the last episode. I think that either way. That's my guess. Yeah, but it's kind of nice, right? I do find, as I mentioned in the reaction part, I do find it a little strange where, as I said, right, last episode 2, we have Sasha getting killed, right? And then they're building up more Sasha scenes after she is killed. They kind of mix the set of it a little bit, especially last episode, but and they're gonna do it even more. I think it's in preview next episode. So, but it's a little. You kind of wonder, would it be better if we had this episodes before we had a war? Like, instead of jumping into the war, a time skip, we kind of build up to the war, or is it better that they kind of have the war and then we are flashbacking how Japan and other countries join into the war and its secret ally before that and then into the war? So it's a little bit like jumping 5 years and then now we're like backtracking what happened during these 5 years. I kind of very chronological order here. I'm a little iffy about it. Maybe we better just do it chronological order, maybe not. The shock value, of course, is much higher doing it like I did now, but I feel the build-up is a little weirder, especially with Sasha already being dead now. You know she's gonna be dead, so all her like Connie and her flirting and so on, that's like, oh well, she's dead, so sorry Connie, you won't smash. I was like, sorry Connie man, but that's what happened now, man. It's a little bit like that, but it's a good way to build up areas in the last scene too, where Everon is like, Eren is probably evil now, and Mikasa like, no, he wouldn't be, right? And then Armin is like, S2 Armin is like, I think he's evil too. Even you, my Armin, right? So it's a little bit, this flashback is a little bit building on Eren trying to kind of, how will I save Historia, and what's my crazy strategy for doing that, right? A little bit like that, to some extent. One thing I want to say of my nitpicky aspect here in the review part is that I find it a little, how to say it, why are they all allowed you to work on this railway? That these are the elite soldiers of the country. He's basically like the king kind of the country, or something, right? They have these powers, of attack titans. Actually, why don't they actually use their powers to build it faster? Honestly, why don't they actually transform? Maybe Armin's too big, but Eren could transform and like carry the stuff and so on. I don't know why he uses powers to actually build stuff. Like Mikasa is building faster than him because he's physically stronger. Yeah, but anyway, I think it's a little. I find this whole scene is a little forced from a nitpicky aspect. Though. Come on, give no humor me. From a nitpicky aspect, right? Because a little bit like, hey, why are they like super powerful soldiers and so on out here building a railway? Like, couldn't someone else build a railway? I know Eren wants to talk to them about his evil plan and so on, his crazy scheme, but still, couldn't someone else just go and like build a railway? Why don't they have their elite people out here like hammering on like a steel bar? I mean, anyone could have done that in this country. So in that sense, it's a little weird. They're like, oh yeah, let's go and build like a railway together. Don't they have anything better to do? These soldiers, like, no, they're like, can't use his powers to build the railway? Can't Armin be like, oh, you need to melt this stuff? Colossal, heat power and so on. Couldn't they? They could use their powers way better to industrialize the thing. And also Eren could use his power to, of course, the armor power, right, to actually create the rail stuff and so on. Be stronger than normal steel. So, it's a little weird. As I mentioned during the rest part too, there is this spin-off called, what is Son of Titan in English? What I read. Anyway, so this is like an actual in-canon spin-off which no one ever read, basically. It's several chapters and so on. And it's about a kid. This is the first chapter. Then his mother's eaten by a titan, and he survives that, and never hates it, blah blah so on. But anyway, in that the Son of Titan, I think it's called English, in the spin-off manga, it's as I mentioned earlier, they explain this whole how they get the weapons. They explain the whole steel thing. They explain how they get this like super magical steel stuff or metal or whatever, right, in this paradise. It only goes on paradise. And there's something with the Titan powers that has created like some kind of super forest of stuff and so on. And all this stuff is actually very important for why Japan and so on wants to be their allies, also because they want their very rich, super magical metals and so on, right? And they're building the railroad and so on with this magical metal, basically. But it's not explained in the anime at all. I'm just saying it here, yeah. Neither in the manga. It's not. It's only explained in the side manga. It's only explained in the spin-off manga, right? How this metal stuff works. So I find that a little missing here in the anime because I read this spin-off manga then 2-3 years ago, yeah. That's why I know about all this magical metal stuff, right? It's never been mentioned in the anime whatsoever, until here, right? Yeah, a little bit here, hint a bit here. So that's, I think, a little strange. They should have maybe, I don't know, explain it better. I don't know, but it's definitely more detailed out in this, spin-off manga how this, Titan metal forest works or something. But that being said, though, even in the spin-off manga, it's just also kind of hinted to that, oh, it's magical based on this thing or something, or they don't really explain it, in detail how it works. They're kind of oh, it's like magic, kind of. They don't really explain it. They just kind of hint to how it works, and then make your own guess afterwards, But it is there explained more into that, but that's a good point. Episode 69, yeah, Valentine's Days. But anyway, that's the time, guys. Subscribe, slap it right. I'm so close to that 5,000 subscribers. That would be awesome. And I'm going to go to Twitch to watch Mushoku Tensei, which is also going to be a really good, I feel, Valentine's Day episode. That anime is very etchy, the perfect Valentine's Day. And then after, we're also going to watch Nonyon Byaru, which is probably a little too wholesome for have a Valentine's Day. But maybe Rengi makes present something. It would be cute. But I'll see you guys soon with Mushoku Tensei, which is, I said it again, I think that's the best new anime, of the non-sequel animes. I would say Mushoku Tensei is my favorite. That or Wonder Egg Priority, which is a very strange anime. But yeah, it's a really good anime, Mushoku Tensei. I'll see you guys soon, coming out on Twitch. So